So here I will be covering the portfolio of miners that I hold, as well as some other miners, including those that subscribers have asked for, as well as some that I'm interested in. Maybe I have my eye on them, or maybe they're just senior enough, or let's say mainstream enough to be, popular enough to cover. And actually, I don't really focus on juniors. I actually liquidated my final four juniors. Was it last week, like 8 or 9 trading days ago, something like that. A real relief. I'd already been focusing just less and less on juniors. They don't move, and when they do, it's one day and then they're back down again. I think you guys know the story. It's just constant disappointment. There's no liquidity. The only days where there is liquidity is when there's a news event, and you'd expect the price to go higher and higher, but it doesn't. And it's just, it's used as a get out day for whoever is getting out. So I've constantly been disappointed with juniors, and it's just not part of my strategy anymore. So I don't cover those, but I do cover, the seniors, the royalties, and some mid-tier silver stocks. And I've been doing these videos for some time, but the point of this sort of introduction is just to give you a heads up that I'm going to be covering more miners, and they're all going to be well-established miners. You probably have heard of all of them, especially if you're in this space for several years. So anyway, with that said, let me cover the usual assets. So I'll start with DXY, move to yield very quickly because I've covered them already this week quite a few times. And to be honest, they're pretty indecisive. So no point in spending too long on them before ultimately moving to gold, silver, the miners, and the actual specific miners. So DXY, as I said, pretty indecisive. Look, you got this descending. I think it's been working quite well. Yes, we've popped our head above it, but it's all about that daily close, and I see no daily close above this descending. Let's just call it 103.5, for where we are now, but it's really this whole line, and it should be dropping more and more. So let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, do we end up closing above it and staying above it? And if we do, I mean, we should rally straight to these highs over here. Who knows, maybe even 104.5, but for me, it's really this level here. Let's call it 104.25. That should be the next level if we close above this descending. Otherwise, down we go, and we did it this day here. For me, this is the level. I think it makes sense, roughly, right? Give or take a few cents. Let's call it 102.6. I think that's what I called it when we were below it. So if we start to, it's not really a level to close below. It's really, this, I expect this area to be a bounce level. So you go here, you'll bounce from it. If you really have an extended move, then you see this level here. Look at all these tails, that's kind of a level. The low is there otherwise. So let's call it 102 to keep it simple, right? So if we start to go below 102.6, it's 102. It's quite a big move, but it can happen in a week. So I think we only need to focus on those. Otherwise, we've got these lows down here, and we've got an ascending line coming up. So they really, coalesce over here. So let's call that 100.8, which is a number I remember. It was the low down here. So this is a very strong level of support and very strong level for DXY to hold, and it should bounce from there quite a lot. I mean, we'll see. So let's see which way it goes. For now, just focus on this descending and the one above here, 104.3. Otherwise, this 102.6 or 102. That's all we really need to focus on for now. But at the moment, it's indecisive, right? You could say it's neither bullish nor bearish, very neutral. If I had to give a, I don't know. I really don't know whether if I was forced, whether I'd be bullish or bearish, because you're so close to being bullish, but there's quite a few days we spent below it, and the trend is lower high. So no comment, even though it's me asking the question. Okay, so yields, very similar. I mean, we had a bounce day on Friday, but it's, we had a drop, and then now we're bouncing. That's the 2-year. Yes, you've got resistance, let's say here, 4.4-ish on the 2-year. We've got this level of support where we bounce from the 5-year. You've got this resistance. A lot of them look like the 5-year, where you've got resistance, but we haven't closed above. So we had a drop on Thursday, we had a bounce on Friday, but still no close above the horizontal resistance. 10 years, same thing. I just need to add another level, really. It's this one here. That's the new level. So we bounced, we had a drop on Thursday. We bounced from that local level, but we didn't close above the high of the week, let's say. 30-year, same thing, drop, bounce, but no significant close above, above a significant level. So indecisive. This you hear traders say, don't force a trade, let it come to you. I don't know if that applies here, but I think the point is it's indecisive, so don't force a point of view almost. So I don't know what to think of that. Let's just wait for the market to do something. I was expecting this PCE to force a move. It did move markets a little bit, but really not as much as I thought. So, and unfortunately it wasn't extremely bullish for the miners. So we'll get to that in a second. So that's the yields and sorry, the dollar and yields. Let's move to gold and silver straight away. Gold, it was an unchanged day. It wasn't really a red close. I mean, it just wasn't. Although we closed near the low of day, so it was slightly bearish. It wasn't much, right? A little move up and then closed a bit lower. So yeah, for me, the level on the way down is 2000. It used to be 2015, but we just had that day where we closed below. It wasn't that we popped our head below, we closed below, and then we bounced up the next day. So for me, that nullifies 2015, even though it was a pretty good level for quite some time. So now it's really between 2000 and 2040. Had we had a nice move up and a close above 2040, that would have looked very bullish. It's like double resistance has been overcome. And it would have been, for me, a move straight up to the highs, because breaking out of a descending in a general uptrend, which is what we still are in, that just means a move to the neck to the path of least resistance, which is up. But we don't have that. We don't have a move down guaranteed either. So it's basically indecisive sideways until we close below 2000 or close above 2040, or at least above this descending. So unfortunately, we can't really speak too much more because we might as well wait for the market. Silver, which was outperforming a little bit, it had been underperforming for some time, started to pop its head above the descending, but look at that, didn't close above it, right? I mean, if you zoom really far in, you say, oh, maybe by a quarter of a millimeter, that's not enough. It's got to be really obvious. In case my chart is off by a few millimeters, it's got to be obvious to everyone. And it wasn't a close above the descending. It popped its head above. And what happened the next day on that Friday, we closed back within. So that really confirms that it wasn't a breakout. But it's not exactly a horrible day. It's down not even 0.5%. So silver, that's nothing to write home about. So basically indecisive. So here we got to wait for a close above the descending, preferably above this level here, these two top tails here. That's the same as gold at 2040. I think it probably is actually. And on the downside, this is probably your gold 2000 level. Let's call it 2190 on silver. And that's it. Wait for it to close up or down respectively. And then you should know what's going to happen for the next couple of trading days. It should follow through. Hopefully it's a move to the upside. The miners, starting with GDXJ, slightly bearish day, but nothing significant. Not like we closed below Thursday's low of day. We did close. It was a red day. We did close towards low of day, a bit like gold and silver, but sorry, a bit like gold more, but nothing significant, on the upside or the downside. So neutral with a slight bearish connotation. Now, down here, I think if we're gonna cover the levels, we've got this low here. We have to hold this level at least. If gold starts to go down to 2000, you can be sure that we're going to test this, unfortunately. But if gold flushes 2000, hopefully closes above it. Otherwise, you basically don't want GDXJ to close below this level. That's, first of all, that's a guaranteed trip to here. And you need to start zooming out and seeing the possibility of even lower levels, because if gold's below 2000, which I haven't even gone through, what would happen there? Yeah, you're going to go to 1975-ish, give or take $5 probably. And that would pretty much send this to the 32.5 level, if not maybe lower. So it's not a good looking chart. But to be honest, after this candle here, it's probably still better than I expected, because I was expecting the next day to be, we'd be trading below here because it was such an ugly chart. at that point. So we are trading up here. We are below the lows. So let's see. Let's check GDX actually before we get too carried away. This one also even worse in terms of closing at low of day. We're going to go through the mines, obviously, but there are some which are, I mean, Newmont, for example, which makes up a big portion of this, also very poor looking chart. So maybe some individual miners will actually drag this ETF alone down, which will probably drag the other ones down. But this is not a good candle. Normally, you'd expect it to go test the lows, but I think you'd need gold to agree. You know, you'd need gold to go down to 2000 for the GDX and the GDXJs to really test their lows. So again, here you really need to hold this low level here, 27.3, let's say, ish, 27.5, 27.25. Honestly, we're so close to the low after that. I would say 27 is obviously a level. Also, basically between 27 and 27.5, you'd expect some buying. There should be several mini levels of support there, let's say. Now, if you start to close below 27 on the GDX, then you'd have to look at the lows, 26 or even just below. And that would not be a good looking chart, you know, that would be not a good looking chart at all. Almost like a double head and shoulders, like shoulder, two heads, I don't know. But yeah, that wouldn't look good. Down you go just below 26. There you should have support at 26. And then, well, these are lines I had ages ago, I believe, but we'd have to take a look at those again. But we're not far away from actually having to look at those on the upside. And who knows, you know, this ugly candle, look what happened after this ugly candle. We decided to move up. So if we do move up, if we start to take out 29, it close above 29, and you're going to look at immediate gap fills, and maybe we'd start having to look at a level like this, because I don't think you're allowed to just start scream higher. Like, I mean, unless you've got gold at 2080, then maybe you do have this freak catch up, because this is just so undervalued. And you know, compared to gold and silver, even silver, GDXJ is just, there's so much catching up that needs to be done, that maybe you just have one day and everyone just switches on. But yeah, I think you got to look at your levels first. So 29 really is the first resistance. It's the high of here. It's a big number, and then you got a gap straight away above. So close above 29, you fill the gap, and then you're going to look at, yeah, for me, 30.5 is, you know, the highs from here. You can see the level. I've drawn it quite well. Tiny gap also. So let's see. Now, SILJ actually looks a bit different, and that's rare, that when everything has had like bad price action, that you have the junior silvers looking good. Normally they'd be more crushed than anything, but let's be honest, this chart looks better than the other two. That's quite surprising, especially the fact that it beats GDX. So here it actually was a green day. Now silver had a bit of a green day too. Did it actually? Jesus, I don't even know. I think it was down 0.5%. Yeah, it was down 0.5%. But anyway, there you are. That's even better an indicator of how oversold the silver miners are. But yeah, they had a green day. And for me, the next level, it's probably here, yeah. Because this is too close, especially if you consider how much these are going to move if you've got a green day, you know, to go and test 35 on GDXJ, and then I think it's 29 on GDX. Yeah, SILJ is going to move quite a bit, so this is taken out straight away. So yeah, I would say the first level of resistance is really 950, and then you're into this mini gap territory, and then this one here, 975, which is quite far away but doable in one or 2 days. And then you're looking at testing the highs. So SILJ is really outperforming. It doesn't look like much of an outperformance, but it's 1 or 2 levels away from looking very bullish very quickly. So might be the only encouraging sight out there for the miners. Now, let's look at the actual miners. Some of them look horrible. So, you know, be warned in advance. Let's look at Newmont. Might be the worst looking chart. So closer, it's horrible. I mean, this should be one of the best miners out there. It's just a senior beast, but there you go. The chart says it all. Closed at low of day, worst close in years, I would say. Is that years? 2023, 22? Yeah, technically years. It's even worse than the COVID day because the COVID day, geez, I don't even remember what happened back then. But look at that. That's a beautiful day. Look at that. The day before you were at below 40, you closed below 40. Look at that. It flushes down. Like, wow, that's a big flush. And it ends up rallying, going all the way up here and closing green. It's a green day because it closed higher than that one. And then up it goes, a small retrace, and you got this double bottom, up it goes. And where are we now? Unbelievable. We're just slowly getting used to these low levels. And then here we go, closing at 34.15. Incredible. So what happens next? Well, depends on gold, silver, DXY yields and the miners, obviously. But what happens next? I think we go and test these lows down here. I think 34 needs to be tested, even if you're going to end up having a green day. I mean, zoomed out, right? This is a buy. This is a buy, but it can go lower. Now, what is the next immediate low? You've got the COVID low, like the low of day on that worst day during the COVID era. That's going to be about 33. And then below that, you've got 30, huge number. So we're probably going to test 34. We may even flush it, but maybe have a green close. Maybe that's what you need, just this big flush out reversal. Otherwise, a close below 34, especially below this candle here, like 33.5. Wow, a close below 33.5, you go to 33, obviously. Plus, you're going to test the COVID lows. And then if you close below the COVID lows, although that might take 1 or 2 or 3 days, because I'd expect some pretty ferocious buying and dips to be bought. But then, yeah, I don't really see why 30 won't get tested because you're less than 10% away really at that point, which is quite a big number still. You'd have to have gold like at night, not just 1975, but going lower. I think this is, it doesn't look like much on my chart because of the resolution or the scale of the chart, but going from 34 to 33 alone, going from where we are, that's 4%. That's quite a big bad day. And for that, you'd need, yeah, gold below 2000, maybe 1975 would do that. But then that would be a bounce, and I think gold would bounce from 1975. But if you do keep going down, then for me, you've got 30, right? I don't know where really it will bounce. I haven't looked at it enough, and I don't really want to because I don't think we'll need to. But between 33 and 30, there will be a bounce zone, of course. Now on the way up, let's cover that because that was depressing. Maybe you get this drop and then there's a little hammer. Even if it's a red day, a hammer would be bullish, So imagine you close at 34.11, but your low of day was 33, it's like a horrible number, and then it bounced all the way. It was almost green. I like those days, especially if you buy that dip. And then you need to move up. Where is the first level of resistance? You almost think it's 35 because look at these little candles here. It opens there. Here it hits the high. But I think if you're going below 34 and flushing and making a hammer, then yeah, 35 becomes a level to close above. But if we don't actually go down too much and start to have some green days immediately on Monday, Tuesday, I think maybe it's 36. Because 36, you've got the low of this day before the gap down. It's the open on this day. I mean, we popped our head above, but we opened. So 36 is a level. I just don't know whether to count 35. It's a very mini one. I think 35 only counts if you have this big flush. And then, the 35 will become a level like the next day onwards. Otherwise, it's 36, 37, this zone here, maybe 37.10, yeah. And then from there, it doesn't matter. From there, it's probably the descending. This, by the way, is relevant. So those are levels. That's Newmont. That's depressing, but I think that might be the worst one. I think it's my fourth biggest holding, but only just below the other top three because they're all pretty much the same. But because it took quite a beating compared to the others, it just declined in the rankings. So Barrick Gold, that also closed at low of day, looks pretty similar to Newmont. but it is not at its absolute lows of the last couple of months. There's at least that going for it, so it's not as bad as Newmont. I think here we need to readjust a little bit the horizontal just because of the last couple of days. So for me, the low is 15, this area here, let's say 1535-ish. Now we close at low of day, so normally you're supposed to test that immediately. So if we have a sort of sideways, especially a down day, sideways down day on Monday, we should be able to test that very quickly. Yeah. So as long as, but anyway, that doesn't really matter. It's all about the close. So, we can test it. We can even flush it a little bit. But as long as we close above it, then it's still not ready to go to the next level. But intraday, it could go below it. And then we could start to test, 15, 10-ish. I mean, you might as well test 15 to be honest. So let's see, 15.10 to 15.35. I expect some buying. Let's see where it closes. Again, if as long as we can have a close above this low, as long as, if we visit the lows, if we can close above 15.35, then you may have a small reversal. Otherwise, if you're closing below 15.35, you're going to visit here. If you close below 15.10, or especially 15, if you close below 15, but that's quite far away, isn't it? That's not the kind of thing to happen in one day. That's, 3% move. That's probably going to require gold to be below 2000, 1975. You could definitely get it down here. If you start closing below it, then you have to start looking at 14, to be honest. Now, on the upside, 1585. He thinks 16 is a bit of a level. 16 is a small level, nothing crazy. I mean, it's just this candle here that's really ruined it. Really, there's no major resistance until 16, let's say 40, I would say. Yeah, no major resistance till 1640. After we take out 1640, then you have to start looking up all the way up here. 17, look at these two tails here. It's a big round number. Also, you would have made a decent move up and you're looking for something. It's either going to be a retest of this ascending. But before you do that, you're going to encounter, the high of this area, this gap fill. So I'd say between 17 and 1750, I'd expect a bit of resistance. Yeah, so 17, trim a little bit here. If it keeps going, maybe trim 1749. 1699 and 1749. And then after that, you're going to be hitting your 18s, let's say. But that's, visually, it's hard to imagine a candle, one or two or three candles achieving that. But who knows if you have this sort of gap and run thing going on, and yeah, it is possible in 2 or 3 days. So yeah, those are the levels. Again, it's sort of 15 to 1535 on the downside. As long as you don't close below 15, then you have to start looking at 14. And on the upside, I would say, yeah, I don't really want to say 16. I would just say 17. I mean, let's say 1635, 17, and 1749. Agnico-Eagle doesn't look as bad. Still close at low of day. The low would be for me this 48.50. 49 looks like a bit of a level. That looks like something we could touch straight away on Monday. Again, if we have sort of a sideways down day. But really, it's this 48.50. You don't want to close below 48.50. Otherwise, you're going to have to start looking at this kind of level. Right? Let's say below 47. 46.50. Wow. Yeah. 46.50 on the downside. So 48.50, 49, 48.50 immediately. Then you got 46.50. And then we'll see. I don't see us going all the way down here. That's really when, if gold below 1975, I reckon. Otherwise, on the upside, just this level here, we can get rid of this now. That's become irrelevant since we've had this. Yeah, on the upside is simply 51.70. And then the gap fill taking us to 52.30, let's say. And then after that, yeah, I believe these levels are correct. And they remain correct. I placed them before. We never really went all the way up there, so they remain correct. Actually, over here, it did touch it before, so that worked quite well. So on the upside, what you see is correct. And on the downside, I just 49 and this little 48.50 that I haven't drawn in. And will really need to draw in. I'll just add the 48.50 because that's the absolute low of this last week. But 49, I think, would also count. There you go. That doesn't look as bad as Barrick, and Barrick doesn't look as bad as Newmont. So Newmont remains the worst. Now, Pan America, that one's okay. I guess the fact that it's a silver may help. Silver seems to have outperformed a little bit. Now, as you can see, we closed near low of day, so it's not the best candle. But again, we're not near the lows of the last couple of trading days. Levels on the way up, I think, remain correct. So this sort of 14, I guess it becomes 14.40 now, more than 14.30, just because of this recent move up. So 14.40 all the way to, yeah, maybe for this 14 sort of 70 zone, the gap fill might count. And after that, 15.20. Why do I see 15.20? No. Okay, let's keep it simple because imagine you're starting to run here. You've got a lot of catching up to do given what's happened. So I would go with this one here, 15.60. And after that, yes, I guess this $16. That might actually not count because you've got to imagine the mentality. We've been so oversold. We're finally moving up. Then you probably have a lot of pressure to make up some lost ground. Plus, imagine what gold and silver are doing. So actually, I'll delete that. Now so on the way up, we've got this 14.40 to 14 sort of 70 little gap zone. I expect those two levels to count as weak resistance, but resistance nonetheless. And then all the way up here, 15.60, and after that we'll see. But basically, 17 is your only real resistance. I mean, this huge horizontal level, you can see how many times we've hit it, but also imagine how long it takes. You're encountering some serious descending resistance. 17 should be huge resistance, and if you can get above that, you should really continue with power. On the way down, yeah, it's again, they've all got this sort of little extra level below, not too far below. So I would say 13, say 40, but also 13.10. Not even 13. So 13.10 to 13.40 should be levels of support. If we do start to flush, then another one where the next level is really the COVID lows. But although it doesn't seem too far away, that is a 20% drop from where we are. So I don't think we'll get there in one go. Let's just maybe do this. Let's just actually see. Imagine you're down here on Pan America, 13.10-ish. You close below it. Let's imagine you close below 13 because that's really what would accelerate a move to the downside. What do you see here? You can bounce off. You're flushing 13. You're going to go probably test this daily low here. What's that? That's just above 12. So 12.15-ish. 11.65. It's probably 12.15 and then yeah, 11.65 is another level, then 11, and then after that we'll see. But sometimes I have to do that just to see where I think it will actually find support because that's too much of a move down. 20% in Pan American silver, you would need a serious flush. Like you're way below 1975 for that. Okay, Wheaton precious metals. Let's just reset the chart a little bit. So here, this one's held up quite well, but that's the job of Wheaton. It's also why I didn't mind adding to it a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or something. So, unchanged day, that's okay. It doesn't look that, I mean, it's a totally different chart compared to the others. So let's cover this. Actually, it doesn't count anymore. This one probably does. It will take a few cents. Yeah, I think I'll leave that where it is. So let's cover the upside actually. So 48, nice round number. So I'll leave that there. That's probably why I left it there, didn't put it up there. After that, 49.50. Interesting. 49 doesn't count. And after that, I don't think we're going to get there for a while with 51. So that nice and simple, 48, 49.50, 51. So that's in $1.5 increments. On the way down, yes, 45.50 because of the low we put in here. And if we start to flush that, 44 just before the gap, round number, yeah. Then you complete the gap, 43.50. And after that, 42. Yeah, I agree with all this. No need to change it, and I don't see it breaking higher than this or breaking down lower than this. So I'll leave it there. That's the first royalty that I hold that I've covered. Franco Nevada. Another royalty. This one did close at low of day. But another one where the chart does not look like the others because it's had its own sort of moves and also because it's a royalty stock. But that's not the best candle. Let's see. On the way down, this one different. I mean, I guess 104.5 should be a level because you could hit that straight away, bounce, but really, where's the support for the day? I would say the low of the last 2 weeks. I guess that's 2 weeks of trading. 104.5 or whatever that really is, 104.5-ish. And then before that, the absolute low, 102. If we go lower than that, I think I remember this stock, it has an ascending coming up. Yes, it also coincides with this area here, but it's more the ascending. And look, that is significant. So if we do start to close below this 102 zone, then I imagine, yeah, 96-ish. It depends how long it takes. But, it could even be 94. It could even be 90. I'd say between 94 and 96. Yeah, yeah. There you go. Franco Nevada. I don't expect it to go down too much, but unlike the other, some of the other stocks, the juniors and the medium tier ones that really have bad balance sheets, this one, which is also why I like to just stick to seniors. This one is a well-run company, and if it starts to go down, 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 you can be pretty reassured it's not going to stay down. So this one, I don't mind it dropping. Although I bought this general zone, I think my average is like 107 or 109. It's pretty much where we are, so it doesn't matter. And I don't mind this one going down. Now, Metalla, the one that was holding $3 so well, and for me, I was just waiting for a move up, and it should have squeezed up. Funnily enough, gold and silver didn't really move up or down, and yet Metalla dropped. I don't know if there was news. There could have been news actually. Could have been some bad earnings. But there was just this drop. I mean, you'd think it's news. Look at that, from 310 pretty much down to 290. So was there news? For some reason, I'm drawing a blank. But the good news is the technicals work perfectly. Look, the closes were always above three or higher, and then all of a sudden a flush for whatever reason, but right on the gap fill. And to be honest, it's closed on the gap fill, bounced off the gap fill, closed again on the gap fill. So it's good to know the technicals work. What's the next level down here? I suppose you could add this one now that we're down here. I might as well add it. The low of the last couple of months is here. So that's it. Does $3 become a resistance level? It should, but I think that'll be easily taken out. So I'll leave it. And then also where we flushed from, this is now too many lines. I don't like doing this, but now you've got everything covered. This is over the top. Normally this would be resistance. I'm going to remove it because it's just too zoomed in. I don't like that. But $3, it was support, so you expect resistance. I still think we'll go above it. On any good news or any momentum of a move up, we should go up. So, but if you do know the answer, I could find out, I guess. But I think that must be news because it's pretty strange something to be so strong, all of a sudden drop without the underlying metal really moving, that respectively lower. So those are the levels. If we keep going, obviously we're at the 290 level. If we keep going down to 70, lower than that, 260, let's say. If we can reclaim 3 close above it, then I think this level remains 320. The high that we weren't able to close above. Once you do, then it's 350, 360. First Majestic, one that hit lows again. It's always nice to zoom out, remember where you are. Big picture. Absolute lows. I bought this, what's it? 460 something, I bought it. Bounced nicely, retraced, but we're not at the absolute lows like some of them. So there's that at least, this huge bearish engulfing candle. still we didn't move down too much after it. So I think we just suffered from this engulfing this bearish candle we had on this what was it? Yeah, Wednesday, middle of the week, just destroyed the technical cleaning up that we had done on some of the charts. It just really ruined the momentum. So, but First Majestic is holding off quite well. That's 2 days now. If we can just have a third, a Monday where we close above the high, that would be good. Then the technicals can start to look good quite quickly. Silver doesn't look too bad, and the silver miners don't look too bad, so that could help. But otherwise, on the way down, I mean, the low down here, I'm not sure actually, because 450, this whole area is a zone, between, you've got strong support just nearby. I'm going to say 450-ish is a huge level of support. We've got this low down here of 460, even just below 460. That's a huge level. If you keep going low, you got the lows from down here. That's 444. Otherwise, the absolute low, which is here, that's 438. But between 438, which is really 440, and this 460, you just got loads of little areas. Plus, you got this ascending coming up, the COVID lows. You've got a lot of support around 450. And, knowing that, you should be buying just a little bit above, which is why I bought at 462. I forgot which day it was, but I remember buying at 462, and I saw my notes too. It wasn't much though. It was a nibble because at the time I was worried. And to be honest, if we revisit, I'll be worried again. And since I bought that, I won't be buying again. But the more times you visit an area, the more likely it is to flush. So you don't really want us to revisit again. Although I do think there'll be some strong dip buying here. Even if you flush like $4, 420, and then all the way back up to 450 the next day, I can imagine. So on the way down, I'm just going to say 450 strong support, and even below that, this whole area. On the way up, let's just say $5. No, let's say 510. This, by the way, is irrelevant. Now it is anyway. Look, it opens at 510. I would say 510 is a level, a close above 510, and then you can start moving higher. I'm going to actually say it's 510, and that's it. This doesn't count. It's too close. We close above 510, we go straight to 540. And after that, yeah, the gap fill. I'm going to leave it like that. I think that makes sense. That covers the support and the resistance levels on the way up. Okay, EXK. This one here. Okay, so actually it's a different day. I'm editing this video a little bit because I felt a bit sick and I had to do some stuff yesterday. So I have a red t-shirt on now and I want to continue. So I finished on First Majestic. I'll continue on EXK. It's actually Monday early morning. I think gold is up a little bit, but I'll pretend I didn't know that and it doesn't really count. It's so early. So EXK, continuing the portfolio update. What a way to start. Maybe it's the right color t-shirt. Look at this EXK red, closed at low of day, new lows, continuation of the trend, which is just simply a downtrend, down sloping. Resistance has never been pierced, but it is a very credible line. At least there's that going for it. We're not at support. I'm counting on the last lines that I drew. I never thought, well, I did actually think maybe we would visit this if we had flushing in the metals, and actually we haven't even had flushing in the metals. So this is like the worst case scenario where gold and silver haven't really gone down much, but the miners are. But okay, some miners aren't as bad as the others. EXK is probably the worst. Here, before we have a gap fill, do you see this little here? Let's say 150. It's actually 153 maybe. So I think 150, just above 150 should be support. Jesus. On EXK, unbelievable. After that, we've got this little gap fill, which is 148, basically the same thing. So I want to say 150 is support. I'm just going to put it in the middle of the gap. The gap is so small. So if you want to buy, buy at 154 maybe, just before the absolute low, I think it's 153. But you get my drift. 150 is a level because of the gap. If we keep going below that, then I see 135. I'm not going to add any more lines. It's just too depressing to do this Monday early morning. But I guess then it's 119. Why not? I'll add that because that's really the last line. The other one I've covered. The other one being pretty much $1.
So on the way down, just to go through it, we've got this one here, which I pretty much agree with, 96.48. Let's just say it's $1 because that is a flush we might not get to, and if we do, I think they'll be buying at 101. But maybe it goes straight through and back up. Whatever, $1. Then you got 120. And I don't believe in full numbers, by the way. I think I've mentioned that in previous videos. They don't go to 120, they go to 121 or they go to 119, depending which way you're going, direction, whether the stock's going up or down. So, but just for the round numbers, $1, 120, 135, 150. That covers that. And then where are we right now? We're at 161. Absolutely disgusting. On the way up, I see this level 180. That's because it was the last high, and I see a little bit of a drop here. So I see 180. It's also now the descending zone of resistance. Do you see that? So actually, it really is a level. If we pierce that, then maybe we start going to. Well, you'd think 2 is a resistance level, but I don't actually see it. So besides being a psychological number, I don't see it. I really see nothing until maybe 230. Look how many times we hit 230. Yeah, 230. And actually, by the time we start going up and hitting 230, we start to encounter this secondary descending. So I'm going to actually leave it like that. The one good thing about EXK is I think the technicals are a little more readable than other stocks. So there you go. What you see is what I think will be the case on the way down or on the way up. Okay, next one is Fortuna. I actually missed Fortuna. Normally I cover Fortuna before EXK. Let me reset the chart. So this one obviously not as bad as EXK, but like all the others, they follow the same sort of GDXJ pattern. So closed at low of day. We do have a level at 3. Normally, I would say it's down here 295, and it might just be that. It's just 3 is a big number. We also hit it here, closed just below it, closed just above it there, and then we actually opened on that day. So I'm going to ignore this tail. So 295.3 is the level for now. If we keep going lower, then yes, I still agree with this level. Call it 276 roughly. And if you keep going below that, 258, I agree with that. No need to go lower than that. And if we do, then yes, 210. I think we'll have support before we hit 2. In fact, 2 is not really a level. There's no descending or ascending slope lines. They're my favorite ones, but they just don't they just don't exist. So there's no point in pretending. No, because by the time we're touching it, you might as well be touching 295. That's it. On the way up, we have 340, then the gap 350, nice little 10% gap there. So, if you want to play the gap fill, 349 is your sell. If you keep going up, 390, 92. And then if you keep going up, yeah, you're testing the absolute highs because there's a reason and there's probably something crazy going on. So probably keep going straight through. So Fortuna is quite quick to cover, actually. That's nice. CDE, held out, and my favorite on the way up, usually. This one, actually, this I can get rid of. That's long been obsolete. This one, let's see. The levels on the way down. Probably have to readjust it to here, just above 250, because we've gone through that prior level. I had 260 before. We've gone through that, although it still was pretty much accurate. That was actually pretty accurate for the time. But now we can readjust it by 3 or 4 cents. So 253 on the way down. This one I'm not sure of. 240. If you're going to go start closing below 250, because that's the real level, right? I mean, 252 is one thing, but closing below 250 is something else. That indicates you want to keep going down, and then you're probably going to go down more than 10 cents. I'm not sure about this one. I'm going to delete it. I prefer to not have a line than to have one that's wrong. It could give me the wrong impression. Yeah, 240. I understand why I have it. Anyway, below that, I mean, I've got 205, let's say. I'm sure that we'll stop off somewhere here. We're not going to go from 250 to 205. That's a huge move. That's like 20% or something drop. And I think when you have that kind of a move going down, and you don't have some sort of an obvious trend line, it's best to look at stuff like GDXJ or SILJ or silver or gold. you know, take your cue from there. So there's a level that I don't know here, but that's just because the chart doesn't give me enough data or pattern. But yeah, otherwise $2. We're not going to go below 2. I'm sorry. On the way up, you can see these sort of three tails. I don't know where it would be. Well, you know what? We're so close to 3. Let's call it 3. Okay, so $3 on the way up, 2.50 on the way down, 2 below that. Very simple in the end, just 50-cent increments. And CDE does make those type of moves, so you could be on one side or the other within 2 days. After that, we got a gap fill which ends at 3.20. And to be honest, once you take out a $1 unit, you usually go to 20 cents above it if it's like a small number. So 3 to 3.20 is very believable. After that, 3.50, yeah, and after that 3.70, and after that all the way up here above 4. I don't see 4, and that's why I haven't got a line. So there you go. No ascending, no descending. Really, I guess you could have this descending, but I don't see why that descending would really count, because these levels are so close, and it would just make the leap, and you're breaking out the descending anyway. So I'm going to leave it like that. CD, I'm very interested to see how that reacts next time we move up, because it's holding up quite well for CDE. Next one is Discovery. I want to make sure I'm keeping the same pattern. Yes, I am. That was nice. Jesus, I didn't even know it did that. Maybe that's a fake. Well, first of all, it respected the level perfectly, so I'm very proud of that. But I don't even know if that's true, because when I was looking at it, I mean, I hold quite a few stocks, and that's why I don't want to hold too many, and that's why I get rid of some. And I have reduced the list, but I don't remember it starting the day, because that's what it is, opening at 45. Let me just go to the 3-minute, which might be a bit too, yeah, it's still not believable. Maybe it did. I'm happy if it did. It makes the chart look a bit better too. Okay, so yeah, on the way down, 45, evidently. If we keep going below that, 40. I don't see us going to 40. In fact, I don't even see us going to 45 again. I don't even know if that was a real open, but otherwise, where we are is that a level, because we, you know, this 48 zone, I don't know, it could be a mini level, but 50 is a level. It was before. It's kind of resistance, as you can see. We never really closed above it. I don't want to add 48 to the lines. I won't. And plus, we went all the way up to 50, didn't we? We just didn't close there. So let's leave 50 there as the level. Once we take out 50, then yes, this 55, generally 5-cent increments, but I don't see 60 as a level, by the way. Yeah, and on the way up, then it's 60, 62. I remember this. We could never close above it, although we did go above it and even test 65. You know, I agree with all of this, and I don't think we have descendings. You know, you could draw a descending. There's no ascending, that's for absolute sure. Is this one? There's no point, because once you close above 50, you've pierced it anyway. The horizontals do the job. That's it. That's it for Discovery. You just need to wait for it to start closing above these levels. And then it could make a massive move, because, you know, this move, I called it. I saw it was late. Discovery made the move late compared to the others. But when it did the move, I mean, look at that. You know, it could be called around here. I remember it was called around there. That's 40%. You know, if we do the same thing again, let's say we close above 50, gold's now at 20, 60, 20, 80, you know, there, you know, we're going to make new all-time highs. Imagine Discovery's at 50, 55. You know, you're going to make 30%. And in fact, it'll probably go all the way up to $1. That's almost 100%. And that's something that's, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's something you can call with a bit of a delay, which is nice. Okay, that's Discovery. And I want to make sure I keep the same pattern that I usually keep. I'm going to go to Aris Mining now, because I want to add many new stocks to this video. So Aris Mining is holding this level very nice. Now it went through it and all that, but basically just below 290. Yeah, I mean, why did I put that level? Because of this low here, and we went below it. But look, even on this day where we went all the way down here, which is quite a move down for a very good stock at the moment. It's very, very good. We did still close around 280.87, so, or 286. So 286.7 is a level where we are trading above at the moment. And if we go lower, I'm wondering whether to add this little low here. By the way, I wonder how many of you guys actually follow this stock, because I think you should. It's a real beast. with a lot of upside potential. I always do this zoom out to scare you and how amazing it can be. It's, you know, that's dilution. That there's a reason for this drop, but it's come out of the gutter with a good balance sheet, and now it's a really good stock. So anyway, so got 286. After that, we've got this low 273-ish. If we keep going below that, then it's going to be the ascending. Imagine it happens the next couple of days. It'll probably be around 250, just above 250, 255. Plus 250 is a bit of a psychological level. So yeah, that's on the way down. On the way up, forget this. You know, if we're going to go straight through, if once we're at 296, 297, we'll go straight through 3. I think this will be resistance, 310, because it was support. And if we keep going up after that, then below 340. Yeah, I think 340 is a level. So 339 is your sell point if you're willing to sell into that move. And after that, I don't think, you know, it's a bit like the other ones, a bit like Fortuna, what I just said for Fortuna. I think if you're going higher, you're going all the way up and squeezing up, because this is a strong one. It wants to move. And if you're making new highs here, there's probably something going on in the general underlying metals. And this one is very much looking for an excuse to go all the way up. So no point in having more resistance after 360. Yeah, I'll keep this one up here all the way at 480, which is a hell of a move, by the way. That's Aris Mining. Now MAG. I've got MAG colored in my little Excel spreadsheet in red, which indicates I want to get rid of it, just like EXK, but I haven't had the opportunity. I prefer to get rid on a move up. So this one has not made new lows like EXK. It really is a battle of the titans between those two. Which one's the worst? But it's still horrendous. So I'll drop this one down here. I don't care why I had it according to the left. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's what's new that counts the most. So the low, the absolute low, the new level is 890. Incredible. If we go lower than that, then it looks like I've got some set. Oh yeah, this is not even COVID low. Yeah, I can see why I put that. Maybe it just holds. Maybe this little low down here. That's a hell of a move, though. I don't even think we're going to get there unless you have a flush in the metals. So you could 20%. Wow, that would really be damaging. But I don't hold that much in this one. It's just how much I'd lose in the others if we do have a big move down. 20% move in the GDX would hurt me. All right, I'm going to leave it 890. I've got to think of another level. No, I've got to. Let's go find one. So if we lose 890, maybe this. Maybe this, yeah. Can you see it sort of this low on this candle? Then here, it's the resistance already. Then over here, we've got several times. So for some reason, this level, roughly 830, seems to count. Okay, 830 then. I'll just do that. It's a bit of a decent midpoint. After that, then we got this big drop. This COVID time was incredible. It was really nice and volatile. I remember GDX was down 30% on one day. I'm so happy I bought into that. But this time it's a slow and painful death, isn't it, compared to that? Okay, so 830. After that, really, then I probably do agree 735 or something. But I doubt we get there. Now on the way up, it's a bit like EXK. We've got to take out the downtrend line. Once you do, but if you do, you're probably taking out 2 in one go. This 960, it's the prior low from here. Yeah, it's the prior low from here, but it's also a bit of resistance on this occasion and this occasion. So take out the descending and the 970 resistance, pretty much the same thing. Then you run, you're probably going to take out 10, let's be honest. The next real level is going to be up here, this $11 unit. This one here, I'll leave it in there, but in reality, I think if you take out 970, you're probably going to go straight through 10. And after 1020, then you got this descending, which coincides with this one. Yeah. So then you probably got your $12 range. Let's be honest, it's not going to be 12.10. It's probably going to be 12. Might as well. There you go. All the other levels are just wishful thinking. They probably are levels if you get there, but there's there's going to be a lot of resistance on the way up. This one is horrible for moves up, but it's pretty tolerant of moves down. Okay, that's Mag Silver. After that is GLGDF, Gogold. By the way, I was reading into B2 Gold. It always reminds me of B2 Gold, and that one looks very good, 6% dividends, and it's got a very good future. I'll get to that later. Actually, it's one of the ones I'm going to cover. Okay, Gogold. Honestly, compared to the others, it's held up quite well. Look, it's trading where it's been trading for weeks, even months in some cases. So that's quite good. Also closed near high of day. Let me just reset the chart. This one, I remember this one quite well. It needs to take out this 114-ish. Let's call it 115, just to be sure. So it's hit that resistance many times. One, I don't know if you want to call this two, but 3, 4, 5, it would be 6. Plus you got the descending. So if we do get up there, we've already taken out the descending, because that's the first thing to encounter. So that would already prove that it's taken out very important resistance, maybe even more important resistance. So if you get above 115, a close above 115, it's done. It is so unlikely, obviously nothing is guaranteed, etc., but it's so unlikely that you close above 115 and you're going to come back down. Unless literally the next day there is just a massive flush in the metals. I guess it would have to go down a bit, but I think the damage would already be done and it might even keep going. Then you got 130. So 115, 130 on the way up. I covered that already. Not even $1. $1 is nothing. On the way down, obviously this level, 85. Below that, 76. That's it. Nothing else to say. Very clear, very respected so far. And it's nice to be short but concise. Okay, SBSW. This one has been, obviously this is, yeah, it's a gold play. I don't think it's a silver play. It's a bit of a palladium, platinum, rhodium, general metals play. I don't know the company that well. I looked at some data on it, but I don't want to pretend I know. If you guys want to know more about it, ask someone else. But on the chart, well, first of all, this ascending can be gotten rid of. That's nullified. The horizontals are correct. Let me just lower this one. There you go. That's now very accurate. 435 on the way down. I don't think this counts anymore. This was a gap fill. That's why I had that one in, and it worked. We closed near the gap, then we gapped down again, but then it became resistance, etc., etc. It's done, so we don't need it. This is a level. It's also a big number, $5. So $5 stays, and down here we got 435. This descending is irrelevant, but it's just to remind me what kind of a breakout it's just done. So that's why that's still there. So first thing we need to do is take out close above $5. Then we can run yes all the way up here, 540. And after that, the old high of 580. So that I agree with. 40-cent increments on the way down. 435 and below that, $4. There you go. No other ascending or descending needed. That's it. This one is quite good. I mean, compared to the other metal stocks, it's not as poor. Plus, I think this breakout is real. I mean, it can go back down again, but it's a high risk one. I know that. I know it's high risk. I think they've got not the best balance sheet, but I think it is definitely priced in a lot of that. And we're pretty much working off the COVID lows. And platinum, palladium, they kind of bottom. They can go a bit lower, but I think you get a point where you've actually reached the low and something is of value. And yeah, so I've got like 2/3 of my position in this. If it goes up from here, that's cool. I'm not chasing, although I think it could go up a lot. If it goes down more, I am willing to add a bit more. Okay, that covers all of the stocks that I hold that are metals related. I used to own juniors, but I got rid of them and I never covered them. I don't want to cover any juniors again. There might be one or two exceptions I'll make. I don't know, newfound gold but anyway. Now I'm going to cover all the subscriber ones. So I'll start with Eldorado. They're a bit scrambled. I need to redo my watch list. There are some up here. Basically all these ones up here. I'll start with Eldorado. So this one, you don't even recognize the chart compared to the other ones because this one's just been holding up very well. And to be honest, it's been in a bit of a breakout mode for a while. So, and it hasn't pierced any of the levels. So I reckon they remain correct. So this one here, 1180, 1177, let's say, seems correct, right? It held last time, never really tested it. We tested 11 We tested 12, that held. To be honest, if we close below 12, I reckon we will at least visit this 11, let's call it 75, but a close below 1175 and you are going to go lower. I think I was wondering whether this 1150 is a level because it was before, but you know, you can see it tested it there, kind of tested it there, but I think if you're going to close below 1175, 1150 is such a small move. I mean, how much percentage move is that? That's nothing, 2%. I think you are probably going to make a bigger move down. You know what? It's just disturbing me though. I know that it's a level, so let me just do this. Okay, so you got these sort of double level. Then you got this again, and 10 is so close to 1020. I'll leave this 1020, 1025. Yeah, I agree with all that. On the way up, just want to check if these lines make sense. Yeah, there are a lot of sort of double lines around here. So one of them might be wrong, but they're probably both lightly correct. And obviously this huge level of support, which we will never get to. Just to complete the picture on the way down. On the way up, let's have a close above 13, big psychological number. Never closed above it, definitely tested it 4 or 5 times. So that's now become an obvious new resistance. Close above that, then you go visit the next one, which is 1350. And after 1350, you're at 1450. There's nothing at 14. There you go. Those are all the lines I see. They're all horizontal. You don't need to add any ascending. Yeah, you don't need to do that. Descending, no need. Okay, after Eldorado, we have Hecla. Is Hecla really the next one? Okay, it is now Hecla. I see it descending. Surprised I haven't put it in. Yeah, no ascending. Okay, so the levels we're trading here, yes, it's pretty much at $4. It's actually closed below $4, but I don't think that really matters because we seem to have more of a level at 390. So if you close below 390, which is a level, then you'll visit 360. If you start closing below 360, and to be honest, let's be honest, 340 is a last resort level. So you've got this 360, 340. Let's call it roughly 350. If you close below that, then you have to look out below. And these are all these lines I've covered in the past, actually. I used to do green lines, which aren't as visible. I don't know if I want to go into that right now because that might take a few extra minutes to really clearly identify. I don't think we're going to visit 340. We definitely could, but I don't think we're going to do it this week. So I won't. Now on the way up, I guess 420. Is 420 really a level? I hate having too many lines, but let's be honest, it is a bit of a level. If you take out 420, 40, not anymore. If you take out 420, up we go to this high 455, let's say. Then you got the gap fill, 470. And then you got this descending. I think you know why I put that in. You know, is it there? Is it? Yeah, it is there. 470. And let's be honest, by then you're pretty much testing 5. So between 490, because I'm trying to predict how long it goes up for. Yeah, like 490 to 510, 520, you've got a bit of resistance. You got the descending, this high here that no one really closed. Actually, you know what, let's just put it there. It's not actually 510, it's more 515, 520. Yeah, there you go. You know, as you go up between 490 and 515, you're going to get a bit of resistance to descending and then the high, or you really want to close above it, and then you can start shooting for the stars. So Hecla's a great one I want to add to, but I'm not really in the mood to adding to silver miners when it's seriously not confirmed. Like gold is still very high, you know, gold can flush, you know, 1975 is still makes it very bullish and it's not much of a move. I just have to wonder, you know, how much of silver stocks go down. They have been holding up quite well compared to their peers, compared to GDX. That's a rare, notable observation. You know, SILJ compared to GDX is impressive, but you know, if gold goes down $50, SILJ has to be red, and you're going to see some silver miners down 2, 3, 4%. So still not certain. So still not entered Hecla. Okay, now the one that I did actually talk about just a few minutes ago, B2Gold. I don't know too much about the company because I never cared too much about it, but nice dividend, good producer as far as I know, no serious issues with this one. And I don't see why this one shouldn't be part of the seniors that I hold. I hold Newmont, Barrick, Agnico, Pan America. Well, them all. And then some royalties, Wheaton, Franco Nevada, Metalla. But this one, 6% dividend, doesn't really cascade. It did have a drop. It did have a big drop here. Was it earnings? Maybe. But I've read a little bit about it, and it looks like a good candidate. Now, I remember covering it, and I think a subscriber asked me about it, but this ascending line is strong support. And maybe I should have this thicker line to indicate thicker support, let's say. I usually have the same width, but do we get there? 250, let's just cover that straight away. Is this a level of support? It is now, actually, because that's the low it made when it did that flush. So I should just add this in, 264, something along those lines, unintended. So if we come back down, 260 will be support, 264 will be support. If we go lower than that, it's going to be probably about 250, 245. This thick ascending support. And after that, it's going to be the actual COVID low of 220. I might as well add that one in just in case. But I don't think we're going to lose ascending support. I think what it's done the last 2 days is quite bullish, actually. We had this big flush, and then it's just reverse, close at high of day. Let's be honest, we're now testing resistance, right? Look at this low down here. I think it wants to go all the way up, and this is like how a bottom is formed. You have this big flush, and then it reverses when the sector is not doing great, right? Like the last Thursday and Friday, did we do well? I don't even remember, but you can tell it outperforms, right? A lot of them closed at low of day. So it looks like it's bottom. I don't think it's going to visit it again unless the whole sector crashes. Then it'll make new lows. But I like what I see. I also like what I read, and I also like the dividend. That's indisputable. I think 6%. That's a fact. So I'm really interested in this one. That's my point. Also a good defensive one to hold on the way down. I think it'll go down less than the others. Probably less than Hecla, for example. So that's why I'm willing to buy this before Hecla. Now, on the way up, we have, first of all, this zone here, 277, which is where we are. I think we'll take that out straight away. We'll probably visit this old support at $3, just below $3. Let's say. I think on the way up, it will test 3 rather than 296. I'll leave that there. Then we have this descending. I might as well extend it. And by the time we hit that, we're going to be around, it depends when we touch it. But anyway, the descending will be resistance. After that, I guess this level would count, right? It was like 6, 7, 8 trading days where it never really closed above this. So 330 maybe. And then the high of 345, 360, 345. There you go. That's all. Higher than that doesn't matter because that's something crazy is going on. Then you've got this large descending one. Yeah, I think that's the only one you need to worry about really on the way up if it starts to scream up. There you go. That's B2Gold. Very happy with this one. I've got my eye on this one. SSRM. This one really looks like EXK. At some point, this stops going down. For me, the next it closed at low of day. There's no support. 940 where it is support, but it closed at low of day, so I wouldn't call it support. I think the COVID low, $9, big round number. That's it. SSRM, $9 is the next level. After that, it's probably going to be this area, this low here before we get hit. Of course, $8. Yeah, $8. Let's just call it $8. You can go below it and 770 bounce from there, but you're probably closing above 8 on the same day you flush it. $9 and $8. Keep it simple. This one, I thought it was done going down, but obviously everything went down. Let's just look at it in a bit more detail. On the way up, it's the descending resistance. I don't even think we've got any horizontals. It's just descending resistance. $10, you'd expect it to be resistance. It might be. But if it keeps going up, the stronger resistance should be the descending. And if you keep going up after that, it's hard to tell. Yeah, 12 is definitely level, not just the psychological number, just here. So obviously hit resistance. So 12 is definitely, I just don't see that same clarity at 11, a little bit less support. I'll just leave it like that, and it probably will make a nice move because this one has been oversold. Okay. The next one I'm going to cover now, and now I'm going into the new ones. Kinross, in no particular order. Ah, yeah, someone asked me for Kinross and Equinox. Okay, let's reset the chart. I've got these old lines in. Okay, this one I pretty much agree with straight away. The long-term ascending, you can never ignore that. Whether we get there or not. Let's just make that white with the others. This one's irrelevant. This one is now relevant. So, first of all, 635, very clear. I think this is how I identify naturally. Then I've got a second ascending. Whether it ends up counting or not, we don't know. And then after that, I always want to do at least 2 levels on the way up. Yeah, and then it's this, etc. But we'll take it slow on this one. So first, let's cover the way up. First level of resistance on the way up. And just before I do that, that's too close anyway. That probably counts if you go down, and then when it goes back up, you can draw this one in. I'm going to remove it because it. Okay, so on the way up, honestly, nothing until 6 this high. You can obviously stop off on little levels, $6 here, this little level, and GDX may stop randomly, or gold stops because it has its own levels. So Kinross will also stop, but honestly, there's no big resistance until 630. So you really want to close above 630, then you can run to the only, yeah, $7, very clear. So 630 and $7. This one I've just added because, sorry, 630 and $7. Yeah, $6 I just added because it is a level, but it's very light. On the way down, okay, the old low here, 530. Again, a very light one. It's just the old low, obviously. And if you take that out, honestly, I see this ascending. Now I'll draw it a bit better because I'm zoomed in. This ascending should be support, which will probably coincide with a round number, $5. So the ascending will do it. If we flush the ascending, then it's going to be the pivot of the ascending. I mean, I would have said this area, but what happened here nullifies that to some degree. And this is quite close anyway. So 430. So $5, then 430, and then this larger ascending, which should be strong support. There you go. That's Kinross. Equinox. This one. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this ascending. Sometimes I just go around and just place trend lines. So this must have been one of them. And I can see why I ignored this because you can tell that this still exists. This ascending. This is just some freak anomaly. I think Barrick Gold had something like that too on the same, probably on the same day. Okay, descending resistance. Yeah, it's irrelevant now, but it's just to remember, like I said on other charts, it's to remind me that we have breached an important level. And to be honest, it's been backtesting it perfectly. So it's still actually effective. Now but the thing is, we're really, and you can see we've bounced perfectly off this double sloping support and resistance. So this should really bounce. If the sector bounces now, it will look like the best chart ever in terms of technicals. No point in adding this, but you can see what I'm trying to get at. It looks like it's primed and ready to move up. I mean, on the way up, what do we have as resistance? Oh, it's quite hard to call this one. This is a level 480. It's no, it's not even. I'd say 520. This area here. I don't see 5 as anything. I'm going to make it a very short line because it's very light resistance. And then 560. I like Equinox. I've read some good things about it. I've always wanted to own it, but just the other ones that took the spotlight at the time. These are very small levels. I see really between 560 and 580. There would be some selling there because that's the old highs. That's, you know, for the last couple of months, it's never been higher. But then we squeeze, you know. Then after this, you start to get to 650, 7, etc., 9. This one has a big move it can make. This is a 100% at least if gold starts to make new highs. Now on the way down, because we are next to an ascending, so once it, you know, if it goes below this ascending, if it goes below 430, closes below 430, you're starting to visit 4 straight away. That's the problem with ascending, you know. They're nice, they're very easy to identify, but they're weak. That's the problem. It's better to have descendings that you break out of. I love to play the buy on the buy side, the breakout of the descending, but when you're holding ascending, it's never nice because you can drop it any day. So where we are is kind of support, let's be honest. 430. After that's 4. After that, it's 340, I would say. Is this a level? 380? Not really. I would say here. I'm not going to do any below that. There you go. That's all I'm going to cover on Equinox for now. I don't think the rest really will be relevant this week. Now, I don't know which way to do this. Now I will cover Harmony. And you get this one's superbly strong. The ascending, which will probably not matter. Look at this descending breakout. Bam. Up it went up here. You can see why this was a bit of resistance. Look at these levels. That's it. That's all you need to worry about. I will add one extra one. That's this. And you know what? This descending has done its job. I'm going to remove it. So there you go. That's it. Very quick. I don't see what else to add. I'm just wondering if it starts to flush. Does something like this come in? Maybe. Yeah, so it took this out, 540. Up we go to 660-ish. Bouncing between them. It's very strong. I owned this before in the past quite a few times. But I'm surprised how much it's moved the last couple of years, actually. It's been very, very strong. It's a bit like EGO. It just looks like it wants to keep going and it's got a long way to go. You know, it can do 100% easily still. Let's just look at the weekly. Yeah, you know, something that's strong will keep going. Okay, so for me, next level is obviously it's going to take out 660. Then you go to 750. Then there's descending long term that I put in. You can see that. That's pretty much going to be quickly met if we start to close above 760. Yeah. Then you want to buy the dips if it starts to keep going because it's very strong. It's a bit like uranium almost. So, and on the way back down, there should be good support, 540. If it starts to flush, then honestly, it could stop off before it hits this ascending. Look at this level here. This before the gap. That looks quite nice too. This is a serious dip buying candidate. So it probably doesn't go all the way back down there. All right, then I will cover, I'm doing this in some random categorization. Anglogold. This one not as strong, obviously. Let's cover the immediate levels. So the way down, what have I got? I've got this here, 1560. It might be a little higher, might be 16 actually. Then that there. The resistance, I want to do the midway point. There's kind of two resistance, you know, it's really 2020 and 1975. I'm just going to say $20. There you go. Big round number and just an average of those two. I would do the same here, but the levels are too far apart. I'll just sort of do 16. There you go. Those are the levels with a small one here at 18. Obviously, you can see that. But that's really zoomed in. Anglogold moves quite a bit, so, you know, it can easily make this range on a weekly basis. If we start to close below 15, or let's say 1480, then we go down to here. Wow. That's COVID low stuff. All right, this is another rough horizontal. I don't think the ascending really matters here. You could add it. You know what? I don't think that'll actually be true. The descending doesn't really work either. So that's it. Once we take out 20, then you can start to run. Look at this. Look at this level here. Not just there, but also before. And then this one is old and irrelevant. Then that'll do. This obviously would be a real level. And this descending, everyone has a descending. This one's not accurate. There you go. And now it is. Look how that works perfectly. That's it. That's all I'll cover for now. I'm just wondering whether we should have another drop. I won't do that yet. I'll leave it there because it's a very long video. And in the next one, I'm going to add Nova Gold, Gold, Goldfields, and maybe one more of these. So let me know if there's any you want me to cover. I just want to cover them all in one go because I get on a bit of a roll. I do them a bit quicker towards the end. But this time I had to cut the video in two and actually do some editing for the first time ever. Okay, hopefully that was useful. And good luck to all of us this week.